What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or I guess I should say welcome to my channel. It's been about a week since I completely wiped my previous channel clean, and I am coming back, starting fresh, new slate with some astrological content. This is going to be a series on our outer generational planets, how those planets are affecting us, why they're important, and how we can utilize them in terms of our healing and our own empowerment. So we're going to start this series off by talking about Uranus, your personal planet of rebellion, or the planet of rebellion for your generations. We'll get into Uranus, the deeper meanings of Uranus to get a better understanding of it. And then at the end, we'll go into the different Uranus placements and how those are affecting you personally, how you can utilize these in order to rebel or become empowered within yourself, within your life. Let's jump into this. This is my first time doing content like this, even though I'm not doing anything new, but it's new to me. It's new in a whole new level and a whole new way. And I have to share this because it is that personal growth factor. Me deleting my channel is very much Uranus. I deleted all of the content on my YouTube channel. I literally woke up, went outside like I do every single morning. I come out into the backyard and I have a conversation with spirit, and I talk about my current personal growth. I talk about my goals. We go over every single thing every fucking morning, like some sort of team meeting. It's me, the universe, the spirits, and of course the birds. And this was the morning of, or the morning after. It was either the 31st of October or the 1st of November. And we have that full moon in Taurus, which was so closely conjunct Uranus, which is currently retrograde in the sign of Taurus, right? So we had that beautiful full moon on October 31st on Halloween, and I just came out, and a message that I had been really giving my personal clients, I'd really been talking about it on my channel and just on social media, was this energy of, if you keep trying to do the same thing over and over and over again, and it's not working in this way, why are you continuing to do it, hoping that you're going to get a different result? And it was definitely this Uranus moment for me, where it was like, the way that things are going, it cannot continue. You have certain goals, you're trying to do certain things, and you're just showing up doing the same thing, creating, not like I was creating the same content, I was ready to be creating different content. And in this way, Uranus is going to be so close and so similar to Scorpio energy. As we're talking about change and transformation, okay, because Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. Scorpio is death. On the 4th house of Scorpio is Aquarius, right? Is this change. And what is Scorpio known for? What is Pluto known for? The phoenix, death, right? Killing something, and then that energy rising from the ashes. And Uranus is that same energy, having Uranus, having Aquarius on the 4th house of, just the energy of Scorpio. That's where that comes from, having that on your IC, having that on the inner core of your being, of that sign. It's this energy of, if the system is not working, if something is not working, sometimes we have to scrap everything up until this point and create something new. It's the energy of, I was on my channel, and I totally was not planning on sharing this today, but spirit's like, go with it. So we're going with it. We're going with the flow. The energy on my channel, I had created my YouTube channel while I was in college, and then I, left college, and my channel for the past, why do I keep saying 2 years? I feel like it's been 2 years, right? I created this in 2018. My channel had been, this is my personal growth journey. And I've been so transparent and open with it. Why? Because it was necessary for other people. It was also necessary for me in terms of allowing myself to experience greater amounts of intimacy with myself, as a way to hold myself accountable, and just to show up and be honest, be genuine, authentic, and operate within that integrity. And so I had created this channel and begun in a completely different energy versus the one that I am in now, right? And that's just normal whenever you heal, whenever you move forward, which, yes, we are so totally getting into that with the energy of Uranus. There is this change that occurs, right? Things are different. It is a revolution. All change is a revolution. Today, we're talking about Uranus. We're talking about Uranus in your chart and how this is your planet of revolution. So I had to delete everything because I was showing up and it felt like I was fighting against who I used to be. It's like, okay, now I'm showing up. I've had the realizations. I've had the shifts. This channel, my content, my creative work, my business. This is not just a hobby. This is not just fun. I no longer am attempting to show up and be everybody's best friend, even though we are friends, right? And we do have that relationship, but there is a certain level of professionalism. And I don't mean professionalism in that kind of Capricorn, well, I'm a Capricorn boon. I don't mean professionalism in that stuck up, pretending to be somebody that I'm not type of way. But previously, I was trying so hard to be relatable, and it was relatable in the way of like, I'm struggling, you're struggling, we're all struggling. But if you're coming to my channel, if you're coming and you're connecting with my content, if you're working with me as a client, it's not the blind or leading the blind situation, you know what I'm saying? And it kind of a little bit was in that way. There's a difference, and I've talked about it, where it's like when I would connect with you know, it's like you're not just connecting and sitting with your friend and your friend is like, well, this is what I think that you should do and all of this type of stuff. It's not that. It's me sitting, connecting with spirit, me being able to talk and connect with your ancestors, your spirits, your guides, your higher self and mine. They're all convening. I'm showing up as this channel. I'm experiencing X, Y, and Z, having these realizations and all of this. And so there was just this level of seriousness that I did not have up until this moment in time. And so now what I've been experiencing over, I would say, since I established this business, since I established the channel, is this huge transformation, stepping into my most authentic self, right? Continuing to allow pieces of myself to die and to shift and all of that good stuff. And now that I'm showing up in my highest form and my most healed form to date, it's kind of like you don't go from one day being the, oh my God, yes, I have all of these problems and I have all of these struggles. And then all of a sudden, like trying to shift that into something else. And it's kind of like, no, just ignore everything that I used to be and see me as I am now. Does that make sense? And so it was definitely one of those moments where it was like everybody who needed that personal growth, everybody who was getting their personal growth and their healing by watching me and being with me along that journey, they got those shifts. And now as I step into this next level, I totally get to start from a completely new clean slate. And I think that that's something that's really important as we're talking about Uranus, as we're talking about being able to wipe something, and the birds agree, being able to wipe something kind of completely clean, being able to assess what's not working, and then being willing to build completely new system, build completely new ways of thinking, completely new ways of being, because you now know what doesn't work. Uranus is definitely that planet where it's just like, Uranus in its highest vibration is cancel culture in its highest vibration. Uranus in its highest vibration is this is not working for us. Now let's problem solve and create something that does work for us. Why? Because Uranus is that planet of invention. It's a planet of innovation, right? So, okay, I love this. I created a PowerPoint using Canva, and I'm like so fucking obsessed with Canva, you guys. Okay, so let's talk Uranus. Just general background on Uranus. Uranus is a planet. Uranus, the planet, rules the zodiac sign Aquarius. Uranus is known for quick, fast-paced change, right? Uranus is considered to be unpredictable. And we have to have an argument about this because I think that Uranus can be surprising and Uranus can be quick, but Uranus, I don't think is completely unpredictable, right? So like I was saying, I deleted my channel. When I decided to delete everything, it wasn't like I woke up one day and was like, you know what I want to do? I want to delete all of my hard work. I want to delete all of my subscribers. I want to delete blah, 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 blah. No, I have been for the past several months leading up to this change. And that's important. Why? Because Uranus is a generational planet. And generational planets take a longer period of time, right, to move through. Generational planets are slower moving planets. And so the energy of Uranus is going to, it's like the quick, fast-paced change almost happens quickly, or it occurs quote unquote out of the blue, but there is always a buildup, right? The example that comes to mind is like you know, that kind of stereotypical teenage girl, and you're like rebelling against your parents, and then all of a sudden you want to dye your hair black and you want to get a nose piercing, and your parents would be representing Saturn, which we'll talk more about in a second. Your parents, being that authority figure, you're like, yeah, fuck you, mom and dad. Your parents are going to be looking at you like, where is this coming from? Why are you rebelling? I don't understand what's going on. You representing Uranus, you young teenage rebellion, or however old you are, you represent Uranus. And in your mind, every single thing that you're doing makes sense. In your mind, every single rule that you're breaking just makes sense. It never occurs to Saturnian people. It never occurs to the authority. It never occurs to the people in power why the rebellion is taking place. Okay, so Uranus is going to manifest as quick change, but it's not actually happening as quickly as we're seeing it. It's like things are slowly but surely building up. It's very much a behind the scenes type of thing. And then all of a sudden, things are changing in the physical. All of a sudden, things are shifting. All of a sudden, we see that change is happening, but that change is a product of a slower moving energy. Uranus is, I think, a little bit more gentle than people would give it credit for. And I think it's because a lot of the times people aren't sitting and analyzing, when did I start thinking these things? When did I start feeling these shifts and all of this other stuff, right? Kamala Harris comes to mind. She's the new vice president elect for the United States of America, and she's got Uranus on the fourth house. And she's doing all of this revolutionary shit in terms of being the first woman vice president and being the first woman of so many different things. She also has her moon in the 11th house. She is showing up, and we're seeing this what we would describe as quick change occurring, right? First, we had the first Black man president, then we had Donald Trump, and then we have the first Black woman vice president, and all of a sudden, there is this change that is occurring. But the energy of Uranus is like, no, first of all, Kamala Harris has been gearing up for this change for all of her life. I already posted that natal chart reading if you want to go get into that. She's been experiencing these shifts and being prepared for this for her entire life. Saturn and Aquarius is literally her destiny to be stepping into these leadership positions right now. And we're thinking about the final product. We're thinking about what we're seeing now, and that looks like quick, fast-paced change. Uranus is a revolutionary planet, and Uranus's main goal, I'm arguing, is advancement. Technological advancement, humanitarian advancement. Uranus wants to know, how are things going to get better? How are we going to improve? Uranus is literally the energy of review and revise is what they're saying. And Uranus is a generational planet, and so everybody is going to have Uranus in their chart. And I think that Uranus and the generational planets can tend to be planets that we don't think about, or planets that we don't feel like they really impact us because they're not our personal planets. But our generational planets are so incredibly important. Our generational planets are one of the ways that we will be able to connect with people born around the same time as us. We're having the same realizations. Uranus in specific is incredibly important because Uranus is going to be how we are advancing as a society. Period, point blank. Uranus is how are we advancing as a society. Okay. Moving further, I'm trying not to go ahead on the slides. Okay, so as we're talking about the energy of Uranus, we have to get deeper. We have to get further into the whatever I just said. We have to get deeper. So the verse that came to mind as I was preparing for this was from the Bible, Matthew chapter 5, verse 5. And the verse says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." So Uranus, like I said, rules Aquarius. In terms of astrology, Aquarius is going to be 11th house energy. Aquarius comes after the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn, 10th house. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn and Capricorn is father, right? Capricorn is authority. Capricorn is rules. Capricorn, Saturn energy, right? We're using these terms interchangeably at this point, is tradition. This is what we've been doing. Capricorn and Saturn are going to be the system. For our Uranus purposes, we will associate Capricorn with the government, Capricorn with structures, Capricorn with, we might argue that social normalities would be more Libran, but Capricorn is more the way that we live within a society. Capricorn Saturn energy is, these are the class systems. Capricorn Saturn energy is, this is the way that we work. You are going to go to elementary school, then middle school, then high school, then you go to college, you get this degree, then you go to college again, you get another degree, then you go to college a third time, you get that degree, and then you have X, Y, and Z thing. Now you're able to do this in the world. You are now established, right? That's the energy of Capricorn. There is a set way of doing things. The energy of Capricorn, the energy of Saturn is the energy of cycles. It's the energy of my father did this, and his father did this, and his father did this, and his father did this, right? Saturn is also, as a planet, going to place restrictions. Now, I argue, no, we're not getting into it. It's not a Saturn video, so we will stop there. Uranus comes after Saturn. Aquarius comes after Saturn. And I say this to every single one of my astrological clients. Uranus comes after Saturn as a fuck you, dad type of energy, okay? And the best examples that we see is like High School Musical. Troy Bolton is Uranus and his dad is Saturn, right? His dad is like, you have to play basketball. This is your dream. And then Troy, Uranus, right, here to do something different, is, no, dad, that's your dream. And he's like, I want to do fucking theater. You know what I'm saying? The energy of Uranus is going to show you in your chart where the system is failing you. The energy of Uranus in your chart is going to show you where you are an outcast. The energy of Uranus in your chart is going to show you, where you have been neglected. And this is so incredibly important because it is the people who fall through the cracks within the system that are responsible for creating a new system. Sorry, I am itching like crazy. It's because there are so many spider webs out here. The spiders in the backyard are going crazy recently, and I'm like, what if there's spiders crawling on you? I don't fucking know. Okay, so back to my focus. Uranus is going to show you where you're an outcast. Uranus is going to show you where the system is not working. And this is so incredibly important. Okay, Uranus is revolutionary. Uranus is a planet of great leadership. Why? Because we're talking about advancements. How do we experience advancements? In order to experience advancements, in order to know where we want things to advance, we have to know what's not working. We have to know what's not working in the system. So an example that comes to mind is when I was in high school. Well, I have had problems all throughout my schooling because my own purpose, stuff like that. But specifically, I remember I was in high school and there was this thing going on with this one teacher who actually, he was a Gemini. He was one of my favorite teachers. He's the only teacher that I have from high school still, on like Facebook and stuff. Love him, love his wife, and they have the cutest son. Anyway, so he was this AP teacher at the, senior level at my high school, and all of the kids hated him because his class was so hard. His class wasn't fucking hard. His class was so difficult, and he would fail his students, right? And so if you're a senior, you're getting a D, you're getting an F, all of a sudden your, future is kind of fucking ruined, right? Colleges have, and this is air quotes around all of that, colleges have, like rescinded, is that the right word? It doesn't matter. Their college acceptance letters if you don't perform well or you're not able to graduate, all of this other shit, right? And so this teacher is notorious in the school, or he was notorious in the school for being trash, you know what I mean? Like people just did not like him, people didn't like his personality and all of this other stuff. And that's probably why he was my favorite, right? Uranus is very, I'm an outcast, you're an outcast, we are outcasts together. Anyway, so I was a theater nerd in high school. So we were in the drama room and I was the youngest person. So I was probably like a junior in high school. And there were these other two students, my friends, they're a year older than I am. They were taking his course and we were talking with our high school drama teacher and they were all complaining about this teacher. Now, the two kids, these are AP kids, these are straight A students or straight A and B students. We have super high GPAs, all of that bullshit, right? So they are these really, really exceptional students and they're complaining about this teacher. And my drama teacher said something that has stuck with me all of this fucking time. And she's like, you guys should go to the office and like complain about the teacher, right? And she's like, you're the reason why there's going, oh, she didn't say you're the reason why there's going to be change. She said you're the ones that they'll actually listen to. And at this point now I'm paraphrasing because I can't think of the exact quote, but what she was saying was that since these students are AP students, since these students have 4.0s or what the fuck ever, if they go to the office and complain, those are the students that are going to be taken seriously because those are the students that are performing well academically. So if the students that are performing well academically have something to say about the teachers, then the school will listen. Then the authority figures are going to listen. Then change will be made because if the AP 4.0 students don't like him, then there's really a problem. And the reason why that stuck with me was because, racism and school to prison pipeline and blah, blah, blah. But also because what she was saying was that the students who are getting Fs, the students who are getting Ds, the students who are failing, the students who are taking CP classes, the students who are not doing well, they're not going to get listened to. They're going to be disregarded. They're going to be brushed off. And that just doesn't make sense to me. And maybe it's because I'm a revolutionary and, I'm into this shit. I'm very Uranian. But it didn't make sense to me because your students who are getting straight A's, the students who are doing well academically, those are not the students that need help. Those are not the students that should be in charge of how we reform, how we change the system. Those are the students that the system is working for. The students who are getting Fs, the students who are failing, the students who are struggling, those are the students that we need to be listening to. Those are the students that we need to be focusing on, because those are the students that are slipping through the cracks. Those are the students that the system is failing. And if we genuinely want to improve the system, we must focus on them. Excuse me, my neighbor's dogs. We must focus on them. And when we're talking about the system in whole, when we're talking about school, when we're talking about school is the easiest one for me because it's the one that I am the most passionate about. Angela Davis, who we'll talk a little bit more about later, she says, there's like this quote or something. She was giving a talk, I think, and she was talking about like, the young people are the ones who are actually going to create change. She was talking to like college students, and she was like, don't think, basically she was like, don't think that just because you're in college, don't think that just because you have a degree, you're the person that's going to be making a change, because oftentimes it's not. Oftentimes it's the kids who are, I just want to say, in the streets, damn, like, and that's so important. We need Uranian people. We need people who are outcasts. We need people who are falling through, slipping through the cracks in the system. Because the people who the system is working for, the people who the system has been designed for, they're never going to see fault in that system. They're not going to see that there's a problem within that system. I remember in high school, I transferred, we moved out here to Bakersfield, and I was talking to one of my friends, and I was so pissed. I didn't want to live here. The schools here are shitty, 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 shitty. So I was talking to one of my friends who had been, attending schools here for a majority of her life. And I was like, these schools are trash. The education here is so terrible, blah, 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 blah. And she was like, I feel like I've gotten a good education here. And I'm like, no, the fuck you haven't. And she was one of the AP honors kids, 4.0 kids, that type of energy. She graduates high school. She goes off to college. And we have a conversation years later. She's like, GV really fucked us over. That was a really shitty education, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, it was. And it's like, before, because she didn't know better, because the system was working for her, because she was excelling within this system, excelling, yes, I meant successful and excelling, she did not notice that there was a problem. A huge fucking problem. That to me, somebody who, I graduated high school with like a 3.1 GPA. It's not that I was struggling. It's that I wasn't down with the bullshit, to be honest. She didn't understand that. And that's okay, because that wasn't her purpose. That wasn't something that she needed to understand. For me, it was. For me, it is. For me, education and the drastic, very obvious need for reform in the education system is like, the volume in this bus is astronomical. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a part of my purpose. In this verse, it says, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Everyone who the system is not working for, and I know that this can be translated so many different ways. This is the way that I'm using it. Everyone who the system is failing, everyone who is suffering, those are the people that are going to lead you to change. This is why we say, when Black women win, everybody wins. If you want to know, how are we going to fix racism? How are we going to fix the state of the world? How are we going to get to a utopia? You want to go connect with a disabled, trans, Black woman and you want to ask her what her life experience has been. You want to connect with an uneducated, disabled, Black trans woman. You want to ask her what she's gone through. You want to ask her what improvements she thinks that there needs to be made. The people who are slipping through the cracks, the people who do not have the system created for them, they are the people who will radicalize and who will transform all of this. That's the energy of Uranus in your chart. Where are you falling through the cracks in your life? And this could be within your family. This is the energy of, I have this example later on in the presentation, so we'll get further into it, but this is the example of, I'm gay, I'm a homosexual, and I have been born into this energy of people who are homophobic as fuck. Your job is to release that generational karma, release that generational trauma, release that generational curse surrounding shame, fear, and guilt tied and attached to sexuality. That's your purpose. That's how you are empowered. Okay. So Uranus is very much, if we are to improve the system, if we are truly to improve the system, we must assess what is not working. Anytime you're dealing with politicians, anytime you're dealing with anybody in a leadership position, anytime you are dealing with someone who claims that they are wanting true change, if they are not focusing on, if they are not putting the people who are marginalized, if they're not putting the people who are disrespected, if they're not putting the people who have fallen through the cracks, if those are not the people that they're uplifting and putting on the forefront, they are not truly interested in change. Period, point blank. And we see this. It's a Uranus principle. Uranus is humanitarian because Uranus is like, nobody should be fucking suffering. Fuck lack mentality. There is enough to go around. But we're also talking about technology and technological advances. Uranus is, every single time they come out with a new iPhone, what do they say? This camera is better than the one before. And look at these new features. And oh, you guys didn't like that? Okay. Oh, you guys wanted a group FaceTime feature? Perfect. Now you can have group FaceTime. And look at all of these improvements. When they come out with a new iPhone, they're not coming out and saying, yeah, it has the same features. It's rectangular. it's rectangular like all the other ones. It's touchscreen like all the other ones. Yeah, I got a camera, whatever, just like all the other ones do. Like, that's not Uranus. Uranus is advancements. Uranus is, why is this one better than the ones before it? Uranus is, how have you improved? So your Uranus in your chart is going to be, how are you falling through the cracks? And what is the purpose of this you falling through the cracks? Okay, so when we're talking about Uranus, we're talking about Aquarius. We got to talk about what's on the descendant of Aquarius. Leo is on the descendant of Aquarius. And what this shows is, okay, boom, Leo. What is Leo associated with? Your heart. Having Leo on the descendant of Aquarius showcases the fact that underneath every single revolution is pain. Every single time you are ostracized, every single time you are made to be the odd one out, every single time you're not fitting in, that hurts you. That impacts you. That causes you a pain. Those who have been hurt by the system enact that change through their love. It's not through their pain. And this is so, so, so important. Because Uranus in its lowest vibration is what we're seeing right now. Stepping into the age of Aquarius, what do we have? Cancel culture. Aquarius in its lowest vibration is, I'm the odd one out. Everybody else, you fucking suck. It's the, it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but instead of, I'm gonna come in and save the day with my nose because I'm special, it's, Rudolph doesn't get to play any fucking reindeer games. Rudolph goes off into a corner and is like, fuck you, Dasher. You little prancing bitch. I never wanted to be a part of your little clique anyway. That's Aquarius. Aquarius in its lowest vibration is, you don't want to play with me? I never wanted to play with you anyway. And Aquarius, you're fucking lying. All of those Aquarius stereotypes of Aquarius doesn't have feelings, Aquarius blah, blah, blah. No, that's Aquarius who is wounded as fuck. That is Aquarius who is wounded as hell. You were ostracized, you were put out, you were made to feel bad, you were made to feel wrong, you were made to feel shame, and all of these other things. And instead of admitting that you're hurt, that you're in pain, because the energy of Uranus, the energy of Aquarius, when you're falling through the cracks, when you're feeling ostracized, you literally don't feel like there's anybody who sees you. You don't feel like there's anybody who values you. You don't feel like there's anyone who understands you. And so then that can foster these feelings of bitterness. It can foster these feelings of resentment. It can foster these feelings of Aquarius, ooh, and Aquarius in its lowest vibration is bitter as fuck. Aquarius in its lowest vibration is, oh, well, I can't be a part of your group. Well, this is why you can't be a part of my group. Why? Because if Uranus's main goal is advancement, Uranus and Aquarius naturally are going to be nitpicky people. They're naturally going to be able to point out, this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong, this is what's wrong. Why are you able to do that? Because you're meant to create and facilitate these advancements. When you're not in that highest vibration, when you're not in that higher vibration, when you're not showing up with the means of helping people advance and actually helping people get better, you're able to point out everything that's wrong with people, and then it's just that. And then, you know, that's the energy. And so you have these people who are very much, this is what's wrong with you, and this is why you suck, and how dare you do this, but there's no real belief that change can happen. This is Aquarius when Aquarius is disempowered. There's no. We have Leo on the descendant of Aquarius, which means on the descendant of Aquarius. Aquarius, okay, Leo rules heart, Aquarius rules legs. Walk it like I talk at anyone. Well, it's not really mouth, but still, heart. Oh my God, this is some reforce. Oh, hold on, let me pause this. I don't know why my computer acts like it's overheating. Alrighty, so my computer started overheating. I think it's because I was in the sun, whatever. Let's jump right back into it. So Leo is going to rule the heart, and Aquarius is going to rule the legs. This is so funny. I have Uranus on my 4th house, and I literally have a tattoo of a heart with a horn coming out. Speak your truth and walk in that truth. I didn't even realize the relevance until now. So Leo is your heart, Leo is your childhood, Leo is your creativity, Leo is your self-expression, Leo is love, right? Everything that Aquarius is going to do is going to showcase, it's going to be a reflection of where they're at in terms of love, how much love they're allowing themselves to receive. Because when you get that feeling, when you feel like an outcast, when you feel like someone who's being betrayed by the system, that system could be your parents, your father, right? It depends on where that Aquarius energy is coming from, which of course we'll get into. Wherever your Uranus is someplace where you are being, they're like disrespected, they're like feeling disregarded, feeling ostracized, feeling like you do not belong. And this is impacting you. This is a wound for you. This is someplace where you have been hurt. Uranus in your chart is going to show you where you have been hurt. They're saying let down by some system, and the systems will vary. We'll get into it. So when Uranus is making changes and advancements, now we're talking more in terms of humanitarianism, right? If we're talking about wounds. When we are enacting changes through the system, we're doing it out of love. even when we're coming from a pain and hurt place, you're going to get the change you want when you do it out of love. Example, I got a reading, I think it was about last year, and spirit came through. Spirit was like, you have experienced a lot of hurt and pain, and there's a lot of anger there. Spirit was like, you need to tap into that love because you have so many love for all of these different things, right? We're talking about Black children, we're talking about education system, we're talking about humanitarianism. You have so much love. Spirit's like, you will do more, you will do better work, you will have a greater outreach if you tap into your love. And I hated receiving that message because I was like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, I'm angry. I have a right to be angry. All of these things infuriate me. Underneath anger is what? It's sadness. All of these things that I'm seeing, all of these things that I've experienced, all of these things that I have watched break my heart. And it is that deep pain. And it is through my love for other people, through my love for children, that I show up and do the work that I do. The Aquarian energy, that Uranian energy, when we're talking about leadership, which we are, you're tapping into this energy, you're tapping into this wounds. Uranus, if it's showing you your wounds, it's showing you your opportunities for leadership and healing, especially if you're watching this. You got Chiron on the 11th, you got Chiron conjunct your Uranus, you got Chiron in Aquarius, absolutely. It is very much that wounded healer type of energy in tarot. Aquarius is associated with the star. What is the star? The star is healing. The star is hope. That's Uranus energy. So people who are Uranian leaders, Aquarian leaders, go through something. We experience something. And because we experience this thing, we think to ourselves, nobody else can experience this. That's the driving force. That's what is going to propel you forward. That is what makes you not quit. That is what puts you in that energy of, I would, what are you doing? Listen, Adobe. I do not want to go through and edit this. Stop playing with me right now. You're not. Oh, okay, wait, it didn't even screen share. Never mind. Honey, I'm not even here. I'm an illusion. Let's continue. So one of the examples that's coming through before we get further into the leaders is I experienced a lot of stuff with teachers in high school, specifically, all throughout my primary education, but we'll go high school. One of the biggest things that I experienced was a lot of teachers really telling me that I wasn't going to go to college, which was kind of fucking ridiculous. And I think for me, all of my life, I have been quote unquote college bound. 4 years old. I'm like, I'm going to Harvard Law. And I definitely could have. I was told because of my grades, because of the way that I was showing up, because I had D's and F's and all of this other stuff, which was never a reflection of my intelligence, more so my obedience. And there was a lot of shit that I was battling as a teenager. Nathallie, you were a bad ass, right? There's a lot of things that go into what your grades are. Another thing that's coming up in terms of healing, somebody needs to hear this, I guess. Children react differently to trauma. There are those kids, your AP kids, your kids who become doctors, your kids who are straight A students. When you're experiencing that trauma, there are kids who are going to get into that energy of gotta succeed, gotta do good, gotta get straight A's, gotta blah, 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 gotta save my family, gotta do this, gotta make my family proud, gotta not be a reason why my family is stressing. And then there are other kids who are, all of this is happening around outside of me. I'm going to go within. I am depressed. I don't want to try. You know what I mean? There are so many, it's so layered. And both of those are results of trauma. Now, I'm not saying if you're a straight A student or if you're failing classes that it's because of trauma. No, we're just saying getting a deeper understanding. Whatever. Somebody needs to hear that. Moving forward. When you are, I'm in this high school, I kind of forgot where I was. I'm back now. When I was in high school, I experienced so many teachers. I experienced teachers when I was a sophomore before I changed schools. I'll never forget this. It was like the first day I was in my English class, and this teacher, who I'm positive that she knew because she was also a drama teacher. So we had known each other before my freshman year, whatever. She was like best friends with my freshman year English teacher. I got a D in that class, second semester, whatever. So first day of my sophomore year in high school, I come into the classroom and she gives us this full-on speech. It literally takes up the entire time for the class. And she is like, if you have a D or an F in your transcripts, CSUs and UCs are going to throw your transcripts away. College counselors will not accept you. You will not even be considered. They won't read your essays. They won't blah, 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 blah. She was telling us, if you fail, it was this energy of you need to take this seriously. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do anything with your life. And that was a story that I had been told so many times in elementary school, in middle school, but specifically in high school. Ooh, thank you. So I experienced all of that. Senior year of high school, wait, hold on, pause, go back. I experienced all of that, all of teachers just blatantly, so much bullshit, right? You're not going to college. You're not going to college. I experienced all of the racism and the disrespect and the hurt and the pain. And it's not that it didn't affect me, because it did, but it never affected my goals and it never affected my ambition, because I knew that they didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. Period, point blank. That's why. I knew that I was going to college and there was nothing that could stop me. And it is through that ambition, through that inherent knowing that I had, that I went to college. Like I said, I graduated with like a fucking 3.1 GPA, so many D's and F's. What did I do? I wrote my way into college. I talked about my story, and I'm incredibly compelling, amazing storyteller. Thank you. I applied to 7 colleges. I got into every single one of them with all of the D's and all of the F's. It's not impossible. It's something that sounds miraculous to some. It sounds like my life to me. And then I went to college and then I excelled before I left. And I think that was something that was really important for me in my life journey, because I had to prove to myself that I could do it. I had to prove to myself, like, no, the reason we didn't do good in high school was because we did not want to do good in high school, was because fuck them and fuck that system. You're fucking brilliant. You can do this. You can survive anywhere. You can do whatever you want to do. So that was important for me in my development. And also to show kids, hey, doesn't matter what you've ever done. It doesn't matter what grades you've ever gotten. The only person who is going to determine your future and what you can do with your life is you. 100%. There are literally colleges who have 100% acceptance rates and shit. And it gets me so angry and it makes me want to cry, because I always remember just feeling in high school like it's not just about me. Because I know that I'm going to college. I know that I'm going to be successful. I know that I'm going to do X, Y, and Z different thing in my life. I know that I'm destined for it before I even knew that I was psychic. No doubt in my mind. But there are so many kids who don't know. There are so many kids who show up to school and the only people that they know in their life that went to college are their teachers. The only people that they know about college, that know about life, that know about how to be successful, that know about how to make 6 figures, they're coming through their school, through their elementary, through their middle, through their high school. Your teachers are your fucking leaders. They are the people who are supposed to be molding you and guiding you to a greater level of success. And that is something that has lit a fire under my ass since all of my fucking life. Because how dare you lie to these children and tell them that because of a mistake, because of a misunderstanding, because they were having a shitty couple of months in their life, at the beginning of their life, that the rest of their life is somehow ruined, that the rest of their life is somehow not going to be okay, that they can't be successful? Fuck out of here over a grade, over one letter that determines the trajectory of their life? Bullshit. The energy of Aquarius with Leo on the descendant, what makes somebody a good leader is the pain that they experience from slipping through the system. And I'm not saying that you can only be a good leader if you've experienced pain. I'm saying you came here, your soul chose to experience certain painful situations in order to highlight, hey, this is not working within this system. This is not okay. This needs to change. This needs to be better. This needs to be improved. You make those changes through love. I'm experiencing all of this stuff. I'm not mad for myself because I know that my future is secured. Through my sheer fucking will, I do have Mars and Scorpio. I know that I'm going to be okay. But I look around my peers, I look around at the other Black students in the same classes with me, I look around at the other Black and brown students, I look around at the other poor students. They don't know that. There is nobody telling them that. The only thing that they know is the lies that they're being told by these fucking teachers. That's a part of my purpose. My love and my respect for them, for their families, to help them break those generational curses and traumas. That is what ushers me into a greater sense of leadership, right? Okay, so boom, let's talk Uranian leadership. And this is where we're going to get specific about you. But first, we must have examples. And yes, all of my examples are Black. What did you think this was? Our first is the one, the only. I'm honestly such a great hype woman. The Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. And yes, there is a series coming where we analyze the natal charts of, well, no, the series already began. The series began with Kamala Harris, to be honest. Anyway, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., we are now talking about leaders, civil rights leaders, who have had strong Uranian planets, energy, da-da-da-da-da. So, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., I have to put the Reverend on it. We have to put some respect on the spirituality of this man. Did y'all know he was a Pisces moon? I swear we will get into it at a later date. Stay focused. Martin Luther King Jr. has Mercury in Aquarius. And what is he most infamous for? His I have a dream speech. Mercury is our planet of communication. It's our planet of thoughts, right? It's the things that we say, the way that we say them, how we think, that thought, right? His Aquarian energy, how is he known? He's known as a man who is able to speak very well. Aquarian energy is absolutely brilliant. Mercury in Aquarius is progress. If Aquarius is progress and Mercury is speech, progress through speech. I have a dream. He has a Pisces moon, Pisces, Neptunian energy dreams. We'll get into that later. And I want to read this quote before we get further into how we're tying this into everything. This quote from his I Have a Dream speech says, "In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory, is that how you pronounce that? Note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was a promise that all men, yes, Black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note. Promissory? I think it's promissory because it's like a promise, right? Insofar as her citizens of color are concerned. Instead of honoring this sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. I love that I have a dream speech. And what I love about this quote is that it literally highlights everything that we're talking about with Uranus. It highlights everything that we're talking about with the energy of Aquarius, Mercury in Aquarius, analyzing the speech, the written word, right? We're talking about documents. Aquarian people, especially if you've got Mercury in Aquarius, are going to be amazing lawyers. Uranian people are going to be able to look at a text, look at anything, right? Any system. Specifically, we're talking about a written text. So we're talking about Mercury. We're talking about speech and say, oop, nope, this is where you I think you had the right idea, but you had the wrong bitch. That's Uranian energy. They're showing me an example of Elle Woods, Elle Woods from Legally Blonde when she won the thing. You know what I'm saying? When she won the case, and she won the case by tripping up the woman in her testimony based on what she was saying. That's very Aquarian. So in this speech, in this section of the speech, Dr. King is talking about the text. Dr. King is talking about the Declaration of Independence. He's talking about the Constitution. He's talking about the words by which, through which, from which this country was formed. He's talking about the system and how Black people who are citizens have been denied their unalienable rights. He's talking about how Black people have literally been slipping through the cracks of this system. Okay, boom. I feel like I had already explained it, and then I was like, what else do I say now? Okay, that one speaks for itself. And what I love about this is that he is known for his speeches. He is known for the things that he has said, and that's very Mercury in Aquarius. And I also think that he's more liked and accepted by the government because he has a sun in Capricorn. Okay, so the next person is one of my personal faves, Langston Hughes, who I just fucking adore. Langston Hughes has his sun, Mars, and perhaps Mercury in Aquarius. Now, I like to argue that he definitely has Mercury in Aquarius, just because it makes more sense than having Mercury in Capricorn. We don't have a birth time for Langston Hughes, and so if he had been born a little bit later on in the day, then he would most certainly have Mercury in Aquarius, so that's why there's a question mark after it. But regardless, he's got his sun and Mars in Aquarius. And this is so relevant because number one, with the sun in Aquarius, his relationship with his father was really an interesting one. Langston Hughes' father was incredibly anti-Black. And so the sun being your soul, the sun being your essence and who you are, Langston Hughes is so incredibly tied to his African-American history, right? His people. And for your father to have rejected you in that regard, sun in Aquarius, sun representing father, I don't know if I said that or not, there is this energy of feeling rejected at your core. That pain of the rejection from your father, even if it is this inherited rejection that he felt, that is something that caused him so much pain. And Langston Hughes goes so incredibly hard for the Black community because of this pain, right? Dad isn't fully, completely accepting me for who I am. Black people aren't completely accepted, uplifted, and all of this for just being who they are. And so there is this huge connection there, and we will analyze Langston Hughes' chart on another day. He also has Mars in Aquarius. Mars is our drive. Mars is our ambition. Mars is also our anger. It's how we go after things. And Langston Hughes is very much this person who was so adamant. Adamant, is that the right word that I want to use here, for the liberation of Black people? I think that Langston Hughes is one of my favorite, definitely my favorite author, but one of my favorite civil rights leaders. He was a really, he is very, very famous, probably one of the most famous poets and authors from the Harlem Renaissance in the 1920s, which I love. We also have the same last name, so bias. But Langston Hughes goes so fucking hard for Black people. And it just makes sense because he has his son, his soul, his essence. He identifies so strongly with Black people, with our struggle. And then his Mars, his ambition, the way that he goes after things, his drive is again so focused on that feeling of acceptance. They're saying his work, there is a great feeling of, I want Black people to feel accepted in this field. And there's so much, I'm trying not to get too far into it, but like in terms of the things that he would write, instead of being geared towards white people, Langston Hughes is FUBU as fuck, for us, by us type of energy, with Mercury and Aquarius, similar to what we were saying about Dr. King. I think that he definitely has Mercury in Aquarius just because he's infamous for his speech, for his writing. And one of his most, if not the most infamous poems is the Harlem poem, which gets so, what's it called? Why do I want to say gentrified? Not gentrified, gets so censored. And it's sometimes called a dream deferred. That's not the name of it. The name of it is Harlem. And that's so important because he was a writer in the Harlem Renaissance. The title of the poem being Harlem and not a dream deferred is an instant tie to the Black community. It's an instant tie. It's contextual, having the title be Harlem, because the second that we see that it's Harlem, we know that we're talking about Blackness. We know that the dream deferred is dreams of freedom, of liberation, of empowerment. And so the poem is super duper short, so I will read it. And it says, what happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? And this poem is so loaded. Nathallie, we are talking about Uranus. We are not going to analyze this poem here. This is one of those, if you're a writer, comment down below. I want to know, what was the poem that radicalized you? What was the poem that you read that made you feel like, oh fuck, like this poetry shit is tight? That was this poem. For me, when I was introduced to it, I was given the poem with the title A Dream Deferred by my racist AP. Was it AP Lang? I think it was AP Lang. I don't know, a racist white teacher when I was a junior in high school. Fuck that bitch. And I was given that poem, and as we were analyzing it, I remember we were all in class, and so many people, she was like, what do you think this means? And I read it and I just knew instantaneously. I was like, this is racism. This is racism. And all of the other kids are like, I think it's talking about when you have a dream and when you can't get it. And I was like, no, bitch, this is talking about, well, I mean, like, obviously that's what it's talking about, but you know, if you know, you know. And then of course, when I realized that the name of it was Harlem, I was just like, bitch, this just makes sense. So boom. There's that. Okay, and Langston Hughes, I think the reason why his art was so impactful was because it was coming from that pain place, right? Martin Luther King Jr., the reason why everything he was doing was so impactful was because it was coming from that pain place. And we see that in his I Have a Dream speech. He talks about, I have dreams for my children. I have dreams for the future. Martin Luther King is in that Uranian energy of, I've experienced it and I am now showing up so that my children don't have to experience it, right? Langston Hughes is not exactly in that same, but his art speaks to his pain, the way that he goes so hard for the liberation, freedom, empowerment of Black people speaks from his place of pain, most tied and associated with his father. We see that sun in Aquarius. Okay. Lastly, hopefully I didn't hit that twice. When it's, okay. I did, I knew it. Okay. So lastly, we're going to talk about Angela Davis, who I adore. I had the pleasure of seeing her speak live at California State University, Bakersfield. I think this happened in 2019. And that speech was, it was amazing. It was impactful. It was so powerful, and just feeling her energy, it's like you can feel her in one room. It's literally like this, it's like a bubble of energy, and I never got I never got too close to her. I was in the audience, but you can feel her energy. Just, she has this humongous energy field. She's amazing, incredibly powerful. So Angela Davis, she has her sun and moon in Aquarius. We actually have a birth time for her, so I was able to look at her entire chart. She has her sun and moon in Aquarius with Uranus, which rules Aquarius, in the first house. She is infamous for being an activist, a civil rights leader. She's an education, she's an educator, and she's just an overall fucking queen, okay? And she is from Birmingham, aka Birmingham, Alabama. And so what's most relevant about Angela Davis is every fucking thing. But the fact that she is so known, right? The fact that we know her name, the fact that we know who she is, the fact that we see her as really being the face of civil rights movements is what I will say. She's got Uranus on the first house. The first house is your personality. The first house is your the way that you show up in the world, the way that you are seen. And then your 10th house, she has her sun there, her soul, her essence, and her moon, her emotions. In her 10th house, the 10th house is your reputation. The 10th house is your career. The 10th house is how you are known, right? And it's also the internet. It's all of that, right? Very much reputation, right? So we have, she is known, quote unquote, as an activist. Her first house, her face, her physical, her 10th house, her career, her reputation, all of this is packed with Aquarian Uranus energy. So she just kind of eats, sleeps, lives, breathes the revolution. And we see this and we can feel this, right? Because she has that moon, our feelings and emotions, on the 10th house. Now I put that she's from Birmingham, aka Birmingham, Alabama, because right, civil rights movement, 1950s, 60s, Birmingham, Alabama was being bombed. Okay, it was literally warfare, so much stuff that we will talk about on another time. But Birmingham was getting bombed so often that it got the nickname Bombingham. And this is relevant because Angela Davis was growing up while this was going on. And so her number one personality, her face, first house, her persona that she's developing as a child with Uranus there is being formed in response to her environment growing up. She literally radicalized by the trauma of Birmingham all around her. I think there has been like accounts of her, like she lived on the same streets where these bombings were taking place and stuff, right? And she was a teenager trying to organize segregated study groups that were broken up and all of this. And so her pain and wounds that she experienced as a child, that trauma has molded her, set her up, put her in the position to take on this huge leadership. And it's like, words don't do it justice. So yes, I hope that that was good enough. All right, so specifically getting into it with your natal chart. Now, I do want to say that there are so many different ways that this is going to work. So if you want to get in even deeper, comment down below, go to my website, fill out the form. My current program that I have is natal chart analysis combined with healing. Let's see if we're a good fit to work together, because it's not just you have Uranus in Aries or Uranus in the first house, right? It overlaps and interchanges. So I'm going to get into as much of it as I can today. So if you have Uranus in Aries or Uranus in the first house, this is a feeling of my existence and the way that I show up in the world is wrong. If you've got Uranus in the first house, this can be physical oddities. You might have a physical appearance that is different than the people around you. Or you can have different ambitions than the people who are around you. So the example that we have here is they're like talk about the physical oddities. There can just be something off about your overall appearance. If you've got Uranus in Aries, Uranus in the first house, then you might be someone who I'm trying not to say something that's like rude or is going to pick on some person in particular. I'm going to leave that one alone. You just might notice that you physically look different from the people in your environment. Oh, perfect. Someone with Uranus on the first house, you could be someone who is Black and you were adopted by a white family. And growing up, that is affecting your personality because you're not growing up with people who look like you do. There's differences in your hair and all of those different things that affects your you. Okay, so the example that I have here is Martin Luther King Jr. with his Uranus in Aries. He was empowered because how is Uranus empowering you? Through discrimination against him because there was a difference in his skin tone. Also, he has different ambitions, right? He has ambitions for a better America, with Aries being ruled by Uranus. Aries is our goals. Aries is cardinal energy. Aries is I'm going to do this thing. Aries can be I'm going to be the first to do this thing. So Uranus and Aries, Uranus in the first house. You could be someone who is the first person in your family to go to college. You could be somebody who is the first to do something different. Let's say my dad was a mechanic and his dad was a mechanic and his dad before him was a mechanic. You're born with Uranus in the first house. Or Uranus in Aries, you're the person in your family who is going to become a doctor, not a mechanic, or you're going to become a stripper, not a mechanic. It's that type of energy. Something about the way that you show up in the world is quote unquote wrong, or there is a sense of quote unquote offensive. And I don't say offensive like it's like offensive in air quotes. There's this energy of if you're an Aquarius rising, this will also apply. If you're an Aquarius rising, you've got Uranus on the first, then this can be the energy of you're showing up, you're a non-binary person. You're the first non-binary person in your family. And maybe you are, you know, growing up in a family who doesn't understand what it's like to be non-binary or doesn't understand what non-binary means. That's Uranus in the first. That's Aquarius rising energy. Just me showing up, me existing in the world is something that causes confusion. There are feelings of guilt and shame. I'm ostracized because of my identity, again, with being experiencing blackness, right? Aries is very much going to be tied and connected to your identity. Aries, the first house is who I am. When you've got Uranus there, when you have Aquarius energy touching that, it's my identity, who I am, my persona is not perceived well or accepted, right? Boom, falling through the cracks. Moving on to Taurus. If you've got Uranus in Taurus or Uranus in the second house, we've got my possessions, money or lack thereof, or my physical body or values are quote unquote wrong. And the example here is being a gay liberal born into a Christian or Catholic conservative family, right? There's a lesson here about learning to accept oneself and creating your own set of values. Right now, Uranus is in Taurus. Uranus is retrograde in Taurus. And one of the biggest things that we've been feeling, or that I've been feeling and I've been talking about, is a huge clash between me and the collective in terms of our values. I've been really feeling this energy of calling people out, people who really don't want change. Uranus and Taurus is you showing up, being somebody who is really about that social justice life. You go onto your fucking Instagram and you see a whole bunch of people with black squares, like that's doing anything for niggas at all. It's that type of energy. Uranus and Taurus, Uranus in the second house. The second house is your values. The second house is your values toward God. And your values are going to determine what your possessions are. Your values are going to determine what you allow yourself to have. Your values are going to determine what you think is right versus what you think is wrong. So when we have Uranus there, Uranus in the second, when we're experiencing Uranus and Taurus, there is a clash here. There is a feeling of, I am feeling ostracized. I am feeling different right now with Uranus currently transiting Taurus. You could be that person in your family where you feel like I have values and belief systems that are different from everything here. So the fact that our example is being a gay liberal born into a Christian conservative family is the focus really being on my belief systems. I am born and I value being myself. I value accepting myself. I value these political beliefs. My family values not having abortions. My family values being a heterosexual, and my family values the Bible and the teachings of our specific church, and I want to live a different way. That is Uranus and Taurus, Uranus in the second house. So if you're experiencing this transit, if you've got that in your natal chart, there is an energy, or if you have Aquarius on the second house. I should have said all of these are if you have Aquarius on the cusp of these houses as well. There is this, I forgot what I was going to say. So boom, bam, bop. All right, moving forward. If you've got Gemini, if Uranus is in Gemini, yep. Of course, we get to Gemini and I act like I don't know how to speak. If you've got Uranus in Gemini, if you've got Uranus on the cusp of your third house, or if you have Aquarius on the cusp of your third house, we've got education, siblings, community, not for me, cultural differences. And so this can be, because the third house is going to be your early education. We're talking primary school. And so if you have experience feelings of difficulty, right? Feelings of being ostracized. You could be someone who your traditional academics are not working for you. You could be someone who was having to take special education or having accommodations, or there is this feeling of being ostracized or not being normal in your primary education. This could also be someone who let's say that you have they're showing not the Addams Family, what's that one, the Brady Bunch. You could be somebody who has siblings that are a different race than you are, and you feel like you don't exactly fit in, or maybe you're not exactly accepted by them, right? The third house, this Gemini energy, is one of community not being made for you. The third house is also going to be like your cousin, so there could be feelings of I'm not accepted just within the cousins, within the siblings. People don't like me, people don't understand me. You could feel like people didn't understand you in school. I feel like this is more tied and connected to the thinking and the speaking. So your mind could just work differently than other people around you. This would also apply if you have Mercury in Aquarius. There can be this, my mind just doesn't work that way, or I'm just not interested in elementary school, I'm not interested in primary school. You could be somebody who's like, listen, I know for a fact that I'm never going to need the quadratic formula in my fucking life, so get the fuck out of here with that. It's that type of energy. Speaking of cultural differences, there could be you grow up and you are the only Black family on your block, you're the only Asian family on your block. There's this feeling of not fitting in with the neighbors. Now I'm hearing J. Cole, neighbors think I'm selling dope type of energy. The example we have here is Angela Davis, who has Uranus and Gemini retrograde on her first house. Like I said, she was forming interracial study groups in Alabama. The wounds that she experienced tied and connected to not being accepted in, not allowing to segregate, right? That's being ostracized because of your race, because of your skin, first house energy, because of how you show up, how you appear in the world. She experienced being ostracized. And through those wounds, what does she do? She becomes a civil rights educator. She moves on to, she literally has Aquarius on the 10th, her sun and moon, not Aquarius on the 10th. I don't think she has Aquarius on the 10th, but her sun and moon are on the 10th, 10th house being your career. So she moves on to become an educator. And if she has Aquarius on the 9th, then that would just make sense. But I don't remember her chart. I'm talking about her being an educator in college. Anyway, she moves on to become a civil rights educator, and she does do a lot of work in terms of education and schooling. When I saw her speak, she was talking about the school to prison pipeline, and so that is how those wounds and that upbringing also influenced her, the person that she became, and how she creates change in her community through that. All right, so moving on to Cancer. If you've got Cancer, Aquarius, if you have Cancer, yes. If you have Uranus in Cancer, Aquarius on the fourth house cusp, or Uranus in the fourth house, there is this feeling of I'm not accepted or normal within the home or with your mother/maternal figure. So this is also going to apply if you have an Aquarius moon. So this energy, people with Aquarius here in the fourth, if Uranus is where you're not fitting in, where you're falling through the cracks, there is this feeling of sometimes mom didn't nurture me enough. Mom didn't nurture me in the way that I needed to be nurtured. I wasn't being taken care of. That nurturing component, that loving, caring component wasn't something that I received from mom growing up, or it could have just not been the way that I wanted. And it's really important when we're talking about Cancer energy, when we're talking about nurturing, when we're talking about not getting our needs met in some capacity. It does not matter if your parent, if that person is trying their damnedest, if it's not what you needed, then you did not get your needs met. That is a wound. That is potential trauma. So when we have Cancer on the 4th, there can be this energy. Your mother could have been a different race than you, Aquarius moon. There is some feeling of difference, and because of this difference, or there's a feeling of being ostracized from mom or being ostracized from maternal figures. Some of my clients who will have Uranus on the 4th or Aquarius on the 4th, it could be the energy of mom makes me feel ostracized because she nitpicks me. Mom doesn't make me feel good enough. Mom doesn't make me feel loved and accepted because there's always something wrong. And so, of course, it'll depend on the whole chart. The example that I have here is the feeling of being a black sheep in the family. There is a feeling of a cold upbringing because the 4th house is going to talk about your relationship with your mom. It's going to talk about what that environment was like growing up. If you've got Aquarius there or Uranus there, you have Uranus in Cancer, it's cold. It's cold. You're not getting the nurturing that you need, or you did not get the nurturing that you needed. There could be feelings of being rejected by your mother in one way or another. And it is through this lack of nurturing and care that you received that you learn to self-soothe, right? We're talking about how are we healing? How are we empowering ourselves through this? And so people with Uranus and Cancer, people with Cancer, not Cancer, people with Uranus and Cancer, people with Uranus on the 4th, people with Aquarius on the 4th house are going to be incredibly powerful and intuitive because we're talking about Cancer, nurturers. These are people who know how to take care of others. Why? Because nobody was taking care of me, because nobody was loving me. And those tend to be the people who know how to help other people, because what would I have wanted someone to do for me? All right, I'm going to do that for you. And again, it's intuitive because we're dealing with Cancer. Okay, so these are people who are going to make really amazing mothers, really, really amazing nurturers. Okay. And there also could be this feeling of the way that I was nurtured didn't work for me. And so there's this feeling of, again, it goes back into that just because you were getting the nurturing doesn't mean it was the nurturing that you needed for your person, right? Uranus is advancements. There's a better way to nurture. There's a better way to love your kids. There's a better way to do X, Y, and Z thing versus what was done traditionally. Okay. And this is also like if you have your moon on the 11th house, and this can also apply. You've experienced what you've experienced in order to be a better mother, in order to be a better nurturer, in order to be a better caregiver, because you see what wasn't being given and now you know what to do. You have ideas of what to do, right? Okay. I clicked the next one, but sometimes there's just a little bit of lag. But then I think you watch the video and there's not a lag, so I don't know. Alrighty, if you have Uranus in Leo, or if you have Uranus on the 5th house, or if you have what? If you have what? If you have Aquarius on the cusp of your 5th house. Individuality, love, creativity, fun, sports, romance, and play was not encouraged in childhood. And so you have difficulty with these things in adulthood. Period, point blank. Your 5th house, it's like your 4th house is your upbringing, it's your home, it's how your mom was treating you. Your 3rd house is your siblings and all of this stuff. But when we get into the 5th house, Leo energy ruling children, this is your house of childhood. This is your house of fun. So when we have Uranus here, when we have Aquarius here, we have Uranus touching this energy in any capacity. There is feelings of coldness, period, point blank. My childhood is slipping through the cracks. It didn't work for me. It could be, I didn't like the way that my family taught me that I could have fun. It could be, I would say Saturn would maybe be more restraints on having fun. But I love that I have here not encouraged, or not encouraged in a way that was working for you. This could be, they're saying only child syndrome. Oh, and I have that written down. Only child syndrome, where, let me just read the example before I say it. Constraints on creativity or misunderstanding of certain artistic techniques birth new ways of creating, new fun, only child syndrome. So when you don't have any kids to play with, you create imaginary friends. You do all of these things. So when we have Uranus on the 5th, Uranus in Leo, Aquarius on the 5th house, we're going to be incredibly creative people, but we're going to do that in a different way, in a way that might not be seen as normal. Okay, they're showing me somebody who grew up on a farm. They're an only child and there's no school that they're going to, you know what I'm saying? And so their best friend is a cow and a goat. It's that episode of SpongeBob SquarePants where he got a pet fucking rock. You know what I'm saying? It's that type of energy. I've got to entertain myself. And if you grew up in a household where that wasn't encouraged, where having fun, where creativity wasn't something that was put on the forefront, they're showing me the example of, for some of you, this could show up as, you know, my parents worked. My parents worked. My parents focused on career. Growing up, I was told I need to work. I need to focus on career. I need to focus on responsibilities. I don't need to have fun. I need to eat my vegetables. I need to study. I need to get straight A's. I need to get into a good college. There is no focus. You're falling through the cracks as it relates to fun, as it relates to creating. The 5th house is the energy of creation. It's the energy of the children, right? That we're going to create, or that we do create. When we have Uranus here, that area of our lives can be falling through the cracks. If there's no focus on, let's create a fun painting, if there's no focus on, you know, let's create all of this. When we're talking about manifestation, when we're talking about this is a co-creative process between you and the universe, if there's no focus on creation with this energy, you can feel powerless. You can feel powerless to create the life that you want. You can feel powerless to show up in the world, make your own choices, make your own decisions. There's this feeling of a lack of control because nobody told you that you could create your own thing. You were told that you had to follow a specific track. That really affects how you show up in the world. Last example coming through is perfect. Okay, so when I was in middle school, I tried to do the saxophone. Yes. I was like 12, I was in the 6th grade, and I just could not for the life of me understand it. I don't understand the notes. I don't understand, you see this note and then you play this note at this exact time, and this means this, and this little fucking symbol means this. Like, it doesn't click for me. It doesn't work in my brain. But a couple months ago, went to my friend's house, took a trip, you know, and we were in their family's music room, and in the music room they have these drums, and the drums are like, you know, we do the drums, and I got on those drums and I was just drumming. And it was intuitive, and it was like my body just took over, and I was just like hitting the drums, and it sounded so beautiful, and it felt so good, and it felt so natural. And I was like, what the fuck? I thought that I wasn't good at music. I thought that I couldn't do music. I thought that it just wasn't for me. No. Just because you misunderstand something, just because you don't like the way that something is being taught, doesn't mean that it's not for you, right? And so this energy is very Uranus on the 5th, Aquarius on the 5th, Uranus in Leo. Just because you took the art class and you didn't like that technique doesn't mean you don't have the capacity to be an amazing artist. It means you have the ability, you have the innovation to create something new. Not saying that I created just, you know, hitting the drums without any notes, but seriously, that's the energy. Okay, everything don't always need that structure. Now moving on, Virgo, speaking of everything don't need that structure, if you've got Uranus in Virgo, or Uranus on the 6th house, or Uranus or Aquarius on the cusp of your 6th house, everyday routine is not ideal or encouraged. There could be physical disabilities or or your body is somehow impacting your daily habits. Okay. And this is the energy of, this is also like if you've got Virgo on the 11th. Oh damn, I'm just gonna put in the freaking description box, like if you have Leo on the 11th, then that also applies. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's in different capacities. So you're gonna have to pick and choose here. Your everyday routine is not ideal or encouraged. For some of you, this is gonna look like they're showing me the Princess Diaries. How in the Princess Diaries, they live in San Francisco. Her mom is an artist. She lives in this house. She has the freaking stairwell going up the thing, whatever. And they're specifically showing me the scene where her mom has on the like little like cape and she's creating this art piece, and she has like these balloons filled with paint and she's hitting them with darts, and her and Mia start, you know, doing the dart art piece in the middle of the living room. That's very much Uranus, Virgo, Uranus in the 6th house, Aquarius on the cusp of the 6th house, Virgo on the 11th. The way that I show up in my everyday routine is going to be different than everyone else. Somebody else is going to look at that and go, oh my God, paint in the living room, and it's going to get on the table and blah, 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 right? Everyday routine is not ideal or encouraged. This is the energy of 9 to 5, not for me. I wasn't made for the 9 to 5. I wasn't made to take orders from somebody else. You know, people with this energy are going to be that, I'm sorry, work for the weekend? Ooh, not me, not me. No, thank you. No, thank you. Go wake up every single morning at a time I don't want to wake up, be miserable from Monday through Friday, only to be able to sleep in Saturday, Sunday, and then barely enjoy the rest of those 2 days before I do it all over again? Hell no. That's the type of energy here. And then when we've got this physical disability, sickness, or lack of interest that can make your traditional 9 to 5 undesirable, right? There's this energy of what happens when you can't get up, what happens when you don't have the capacity to work, what happens when you can't move around. Then it becomes questions of, is this building accessible? There's so many different things that go on here. So if you're somebody who is like, my body does impact my daily habits, my body, what my body can do is impacting how I show up in the world, how I make money, how I make a living. And these people, whatever you're experiencing in this energy, you have come here to show us that there are other ways, right? Aquarius, Uranus, innovation, new, different, never seen before. There are other ways to exist, thrive, and establish a quote unquote routine while also being successful, while also working towards your dreams, right? Because Virgo is not living for the weekend. Virgo at its highest vibration is, I am working methodically towards my dreams, towards my goals, actualizing them. So you have come to show us that there is a different way to do that. Okay. Next up, we have Libra. If you have Uranus in Libra, or you have Uranus on the 7th house, or you have Aquarius on the 7th, or if you have Venus in Aquarius, damn, for the 1st house is also Mars in Aquarius. Why did I not say all of these? That's okay, it'll be in the description. Traditional partnership is not made for you, or traditional partner is not made for you. So this is, I am gay. That's the type of energy. Or the example here is polyamory, or dating someone outside of your gender or your race. The way that you love, the way that you partner with people It's different. You've come to show people there is a different way to love and connect with people outside of what we've been taught. There's a different way to form connection. There's a different way to love. There's a different way to be in relationships. There's a different way to collaborate with people than what I've seen before. Okay, and this is also talking about business. This is, if you've got Uranus and Libra, Uranus on the 7th, Aquarius on the 7th, Venus in Aquarius, you could have been born into a family of people who don't value partnership, people who are incredibly independent, people who don't believe in love and all of these other things. And you come in and you're like, oh, wait, no, partnership is valuable. We can work with partners like this. Or it could be the opposite, where you come into codependent families, right? You incarnate into all of this codependency. You're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I like a little bit more of a detached approach. I don't want somebody under my ass all the time. I like my partner a little farther away. Feels good to me. I enjoy this. I like the distance. Ooh. It's that type of energy. You've come to show that it's okay to live in a different way. It's okay to connect with others in a different way. It's okay to work with others in a career setting, right? Collaborative setting, business partner setting in a different way. When we have Venus in Aquarius, something regarding love, these could be the people, I guess not just Venus in Aquarius, this energy could be the love doesn't work for me. And again, that's lower vibration. So it's like you either are going to be highest vibration, traditional love is not working for me. This doesn't feel good for me. I'm going to find a way that feels good for me. I'm going to find a way that I love to connect. I'm going to find a way that feels amazing. Or you can choose to be in that lower vibration of love doesn't work for me. So I don't get love. I'm never going to have love. Everybody else in the world has love except for me. So there's that one. All right, moving on to Scorpio. If you've got Uranus in Scorpio, or damn, the last one, I will put it all in the description. Screw it. If you've got Scorpio on the 11th house, if you have Uranus in Scorpio, if you have Uranus on the 8th, what? If you have Scorpio on the 11th, did I say all those right? Damn, I'm just going to put it in the description. Moving on to Scorpio. There is a feeling, because the 8th house, Scorpio energy, is inherited. Inherited guilt and shame surrounding the occult, sex, taboos, secrets. Period, point blank. The example here is, I'm a psychic medium born into a conservative family that sees mediumship as evil. This is an opportunity of healing generational trauma and working towards greater self-acceptance. That one was really easy. I just mentioned all of the Scorpio topics. There's a lot of inherited guilt, shame, and fear that you have come to transmute and release with this energy. You're the person who's looking around and is saying, oh my God, X, Y, and Z thing is not working within my family line. How are we going to change this moving forward? I'm going to accept myself like I never have before. I'm going to accept my gifts like I never have before. I'm going to accept the fact that I'm a sexual person. This could be, I was born with a desire to have sex and, wait, hold on. Growing up, I want to connect with people and have sex with people. And I grew up in a household, in a family that's very much, you have to wait until marriage. You don't da-da-da-da-da. We can't do this. Sex toys are the devil. I don't know. I feel like people's families live like that. I don't have this energy in my chart. Undoing all of that, releasing all of that, accepting yourself, accepting all of your desires. This energy of Scorpio is very much that shadow side energy. Everything that has been shamed, this is ultimately self-acceptance energy. That's your big thing. self-acceptance, accepting your dark side aspects, accepting anger, accepting all of the things that maybe we act like doesn't happen within the family, accepting all of the things that maybe, right, we don't talk about, accepting all the things that we sweep under the rug. You've come to process and release, accept it, bring it out into the light. Okay, create a new way of processing our emotions, create new ways of talking about sex so that we can stop getting pregnant at 16, but shaming people for being sexually active, breaking those generational chains. Okay. I feel like people watching this are going to be like, it was only 2 seconds for a switch. Okay. Sagittarius, Uranus and Sagittarius, not Sag on the 9th, Uranus and Sagittarius, Aquarius on the 9th house, or Uranus on the 9th house, right? Those are all of them. Attempts to suppress or censor happen through religion, belief systems, or higher education. So this is important because you're falling through the cracks as it relates to belief systems, and they're saying belief systems about the family. So we're going to jump right into the example. Questions about God arise in church. So like, let's say that you're, a kid, your pastor is like, Adam and Eve were the first people to ever exist. And you're like, wait a second, I was taught, that dinosaurs accepted and evolution occurred, right? And so there is this contrast. There are these things that the preachers are saying, that the teachers are saying, that doesn't make sense, that your parents are telling you about what you're supposed to believe, right? Because yes, it's your religion, but it's your belief systems. It's also higher education. These are your philosophies that you live life by, right? And I always tell my astrology clients, this is Hakuna Matata type of energy, right? How are you living your life? Taurus energy is, these are my values. I really love that Taurus and Sagittarius are really kind of similar. Sagittarius is more philosophical. Sagittarius is who created the universe. And so you're asking these questions. You're supposed to be asking these questions. They're questions that aren't being answered. They're questions that your parents can't answer. And that leads to a greater study and fixation on religious philosophy, a greater study and fixation on putting the pieces together. And that ultimately leads to new spiritual discoveries and new belief systems. This is also the energy if you've got Uranus on the 9th house. You, they're singing A Breakaway by Kelly Clarkson, right? You grew up in a small town, and when the rain would fall down, you just stared out your window. Dreaming of what could be. No, just kidding. You grew up in a small town. You finally go off, right? Sag on the 9th, Gemini, that local environment. You finally go off, go away to college, and you are awakened to a whole new fucking world. And you realize all of these things that you did not know before. You learn all of this other stuff. Suddenly, oh my God, you mean it's okay to be gay? You mean God loves gays? It's that type of energy. And it's, nobody taught me X, Y, and Z thing about spirituality. It's, I have Chiron in Sagittarius. So growing up, you're learning heterosexuality is the only thing. God doesn't love gay people. This is wrong. You're going to hell, blah, blah, blah. You grow up, you're like, oh, fuck, I'm a psychic medium. I can connect and talk to God myself. First of all, Jesus says it's okay to be psychic. Surprise. You form that connection with God. You realize all of these things. You realize a whole new set of beliefs, a whole new greater understanding about life, about how you're supposed to live life. And now you and your family moving forward, the people you come in contact moving forward, are elevating. Sagittarius, Jupiterian energy. This is about expansion. It's about growth. There can also be feelings of not fitting in with your own people, not fitting in with your own culture, not fitting in with the way that they do things, not fitting in with the way that they live. It's like, if you have this placement, you have to move away from your family. You have to move away from your upbringing. Go out into the world, learn and expand, figure out what your belief systems are. Is that it? And this can also happen through like higher education. So let's say you go to college, you experience X, Y, and Z thing that highlights, holy fuck, the higher education system is fucked up in this way. We need to change this because you fell through the cracks in this way. They're showing me the example of, if you had gone to college, you experienced a certain assault. The college didn't take it seriously. The college didn't do what needed to be done in that situation. That sets you on this path of, I have to reform this system. So it really depends on where that Sagittarian energy is and how it is interconnecting. What are your belief systems about? Okay, moving on. Capricorn. Uranus in Capricorn, Uranus on the 10th, Cap on the 11th. These are people, this generation slipped through the cracks of the government or in government systems and structures, or rules that were put in place by authority. Capricorn in the 10th house is the Capricorn in the 10th house is the generation of adults right now who went to school and who are drowning in student loan debt. Capricorn in the 10th house are the adults who are like, hold the fuck up, like we really need a student loan forgiveness program. That's Capricorn. That's Uranus and Capricorn generation. Uranus, right? Our rebellion. Capricorn, government, structures, the man, the systems. Example, I fought against the system to get where I am now. And now I'm putting in the work to create a new system. Or I'm choosing a job, right? Because Capricorn is job. Or my leadership position or my reputation in the world to assist so that my successors don't have to. Uranus in Capricorn is the, it's like almost kind of similar to Uranus and Aries. Uranus and Aries is maybe I have ambitions that other people don't. This energy is, I am purposely going out of my way to create systematic change because I fought against this system so that I could be in a position of power, Capricorn, in order to create and change the system. That's this generation. Well, this generation that's stepping into power right now. They're like I don't think early. I'm like early 20s, late teens. I'm Uranus, Aquarius. Uranus and Cap is like mid 20s, early 30s right now. Those are the people who are showing up. I don't have the election results or who all voted, different things like that. But this is the generation that's coming in and is like, oh, okay, we have to change. Uranus and Sagittarius is, we have to change the way that we're thinking. Uranus and Sagittarius is, we have to be more woke. Uranus in Sagittarius is we are cross-cultural. Uranus in Sagittarius is we are one world. We must connect with each other. We must learn with each other. We must form connections. We must build bridges. Uranus in Capricorn is and look at the way that the system is fucking us, all of us. Let's create new systems. Let's create change, because our successors, the people who come after us, should be able to do this a lot easier than we were. I have created the map to success, and by following this map, you can become successful too. You can do this too. Uranus and Capricorn is the mentor generation. All right. Uranus in Aquarius. Comment down below if you have Uranus in Aquarius, because I do. Whoop, whoop. I think that it's the best. Why? Because Uranus rules Aquarius. Uranus in Aquarius is the generation that is really about that motherfucking life. Uranus in Aquarius is Gen Z. We really are. And for a while, I'm born in 99. I wanted to be considered a millennial, but then everybody really realized that millennials fucking suck. Sorry. If you watch the Uranus and Capricorn, or maybe Uranus and Sag, please click out, because I'm about to drag you for the girls and the gays. Uranus and Aquarius is a generation that's like, look at these Uranus and Capricorn niggas, because Uranus and Capricorn, they still have an investment in the system. Uranus and Capricorn is reaching their heights and getting to where they want to go by utilizing the system a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Uranus and Aquarius is like, burn this motherfucker down. I love Uranus and Aquarius type of energy, because the kids are with the shits. I love it. I love to see it. I love to be a part of it. I love to experience it. It's just amazing. It's beautiful. Mwah, magnifique. My compliments to the chef. If you're watching this and you have Uranus and Aquarius, I'm sure you can feel my energy. I am elated. So happy that you're here. So happy that you have decided to join us. I don't know what I just did. Anyway, girl. Okay, so Uranus and Aquarius is a feeling of not being accepted in groups or by friends / society. Uranus and Aquarius is the outcast. Uranus and Aquarius could be also somebody who is different culture or race than their peers. Again, like I said, this could be Uranus and Aquarius, Uranus on the 11th house, or Aquarius on the cusp of your 11th house. So there is this huge outcast vibe. There is this 2 chains different type of vibe. And so we have this interesting energy here as we're talking about cancel culture. Uranus and Aquarius generation is really like, they're really the queens of cancel culture. Okay. And that lowest vibration being the people who you are doing everything wrong because they were told that they were doing everything wrong. It's that energy of the way that you judge people is a reflection of the way you judge yourself. It's a reflection of the way that you were judged. And so when we're judging people, you made this mistake, you don't deserve blah, 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 you die, and all of this type of stuff, right? That's where this energy is coming from. Uranus and Aquarius people, when they're unhealed, don't accept themselves. Period, point blank. They don't feel accepted by society. And then it's so interesting because we have this pack mentality where it's like all of the outcasts get together and then they call out all of the people that they feel like called them out and made them feel like outcasts. Uranus and Capricorn might do this. I don't know. Well, we'll leave that one alone. Uranus and Aquarius is definitely they're the most radical, and they're going to really, really create a lot of change. And the only thing that I would really say here is you've got to do it from that empowered place. It's the same message that I shared earlier about you've got to do things from that place of love, tapping into where that pain comes from. Because even if you just have Uranus and Aquarius, everybody has it in a different place. I have Uranus and Aquarius in my 4th house. And so, yes, I did experience feelings of being ostracized by groups. Mine was feelings of being ostracized by family and by groups. There's just this like huge feeling of just being an overall outcast. And it is through that that I show up in the world, that I create and facilitate platforms to where everybody can come and feel accepted exactly for who they are. Everybody can show up and be loved and nurtured exactly as who they are. That's how I bring purpose to my pain. That's me showing up, being empowered. Uranus and Aquarius, y'all experienced a fuck ton of pain. And instead of lashing out in anger, you have to heal, step into an empowered place, and bring purpose to it. Okay, the example is not having any friends growing up, feeling left out in the cold for being different. That's an opportunity to cultivate community, wherein everyone feels included, loved, and valued. Boom. Moving on to Uranus in Pisces. You're my children and I love you. I I love this Uranus and Pisces energy. When I was getting the downloads for this, I was like, my kids. Okay, so Uranus and Pisces, or Uranus in the 12th house, or Aquarius on the 12th house, the focus on dreams, visions, and the occult are not encouraged or believed in. And we got to use the current kids right now as our example. Visions of what the future of the world could be are skewed for the most recent Uranus and Pisces generation. Why? Because they're growing up, everybody in the world, well, everybody who's not really spiritually tapped in, is terrified because of fucking climate change and all of this other stuff. So this Uranus and Pisces generation, they are growing up, and they're growing up like, we don't even know if there's going to be a future to create. You know what I'm saying? We're seeing the first Black female vice president of the United States, and it's like, there will be more after this, but it's like, will there really? Will there be a United States when I'm an adult, because we're not dealing seriously with the climate crisis? And so with Uranus and Pisces, what's falling through the cracks is their dreams. These kids need to focus on ambition. And if you have this energy, of course, there is a need for a focus on your ambitions, what you want to see happen in the world. This is almost how I would describe my parents, how I would talk to my clients with Neptune retrograde. This is, I wasn't allowed to dream. I wasn't allowed to have visions for the future. This could also be creativity. This can also be that it's like you could have parents that don't believe in psychics, parents that don't believe in your psychic, and they don't believe in your visions. They don't believe in the occult, all of these things. Through these experiences and through this pain, what do they do? What do? You teach us what can truly be done. Technologically and spiritually, to save the world. You're incredibly psychic. And what I fucking love about this, I forgot that I put technologically here. Uranus Aquarius and Uranus Pisces generation, they're going to be the generation that saves the world from climate change. Hands fucking down. It's going to come down to the 11th hour. And who's going to save us? The kids of the fucking future. Why? Because Uranus improvements combining with Pisces, psychic ass Neptune, which I consider Uranus to be incredibly psychic, right? It's the aliens. And what the fuck do aliens bring? Technological advancements. Uranus Aquarius, Uranus Pisces. These are the kids, these are the people who become adults that are naturally tapped in. And of course, if you have these other energies, naturally tapped in able to receive the information, they're saying the veil is always thin for us. We can so easily tap into the collective unconscious. The collective unconscious who, if coronavirus has shown us one thing, it's that everybody doesn't actually want to die. Tap into the collective unconscious, these desires that we have, connect with spirit, and boom, oh, solutions. Look at that. A step further, yep, as we step further into the age of Aquarius, all of these it just booms in technology. And where the fuck did this come from? Watch out for the Uranus, Aquarius, and Pisces generation. And not saying that they'll be the only ones. Oh, they'll take it further, way further. This is a lot of, they're singing Bruno Mars, "Don't Believe Me, Just Watch." When everybody else in the world is feeling hopeless, when there's a feeling of, we can't do this, it's going to be Uranus, Aquarius, Uranus, Pisces generation that comes through and says, yeah, I got this. I'm going to save the world. Give me a minute. And it's realizing that technology really is a reflection of spirituality, right? We all see those posts where it's like communicating in cell phones is just mimicking the telepathic communication we already have. And I mean, kind of true as fuck. Your psychic ability, your ability to tap in, regardless of whether or not your eyes are rolling in the back of your head, you're fucking levitating off of your chair, your psychic ability, your spiritual gifts are the downloads and the understandings you're going to receive that are going to save us, that are going to literally save the world. Uranus, Aquarius, and Uranus, Pisces, no fucking pressure. But our life is in your hands. But that's okay, because you've come equipped. Why? Because they're fucking us, literally. All right, so that's what I've got for y'all. That's what I've got for this Uranus video. I feel like it was amazing, and I am praying that this was shorter than 2 hours long. I might end up breaking it up, but I kind of don't want to, so eek. Anyway, I'll figure it out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to y'all later. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you want to connect with me and look over your natal chart, you want to heal, you want to become more empowered, you want to talk more specifically about your anus, DM me, comment on this video, or go to my website, fill out that form, and we'll get on a phone call and see if you and I are a good match to be working together. I'm super excited for this current program. Look on my website. It'll tell you all about it. Talk to y'all later. Bye.